Hello, Falava. Today we'll be looking at logistics or shipping. Now that after you get paid online, you now have to send the product to your clients. Now, this is expected of all e-commerce stores or platforms, is usually your buyers will be expecting door-to-door delivery. So you'll have to look at your method and process of sending those products that have been paid by your clients to them, to their doorsteps. So what we need to look at then is, of course, first, packaging. Now, depending on your product, you'll have to look at the appropriate packaging, whether it's food, so that's a lot more complicated in terms of what kind of packaging you will need to ensure that it remains safe and it gets to your buyer in a state that they would like to consume your food. But if it's more products that are not perishable, so those are easier to package and ship. But you also have the opportunity with packaging to market your product. Instead of your product coming in a blank brown box, you could add a little bit more color and make it more exciting so that your buyers are more has an experience when they receive your product. And there are now quite a lot of unboxing experiences that you may have seen on YouTube. So those are opportunities to further market and differentiate your product from your competitors. So in Samoa, there are some businesses that are already doing customized packaging for different products. So you may want to discuss with them and see how you can differentiate your labeling and your packaging for your products. Now, in Samoa, there are already options for delivery, and that is through the Maua app, as well as the Seki Eats deliveries. Now, with those platforms, you'll have to be on the platform to be able to utilize those delivery services. So you'll have to register with either Maua app or Seki Eats, but most businesses already register with both so that they can utilize both platforms for first receiving or selling their products and receiving their payments, but then the delivery side of your operations is also taken care of by these platforms. But these are only for local in Samoa. But if you're looking at shipping worldwide, that is a little bit more complicated because depending on your product again, what are the guidelines and the requirements, quarantine or any customs requirements, depending on what type of product you will be shipping. So that's something that we will not be able to discuss here, but there is documentation, again, in the toolkit that I shared in previous videos that is available on the Pacific e-commerce portal that lists a lot of those different options for shipping worldwide. But what are the best practices? Now, there is something called warehousing, where if a business knows where the clients are, they usually bulk ship their products to a warehouse that is located close to where their likely or potential buyers are. And then from that warehouse, they can distribute their products. And this will be a lot more cost effective for you as the business owner, but also for your clients If your clients live close by to where the warehouse is, then their shipping costs will be less, and that will be a factor in their decision to buy either from you or from a competitor. If your delivery is much faster because it's close to where they live and a lot cheaper, then you stand a chance of getting their business a lot better than your competitor. So if there are opportunities to warehouse, but they also have to consider that you will be committing a fair amount of your inventory if you want to warehouse your products into different locations so that it can be shipped faster and cheaper to your buyers. This, we try to get all the logistic cost from the different shipping providers like DHL, FedEx, and Custom Logistics, but they were not willing to share their shipping costs. Only Samoa Post has been kind enough to share those costs. So this is what it cost in terms of shipping, but it is due. It is categorized in weight class. So as you can see, and this is a reality of doing business in Samoa and in the Pacific, the cost of shipping or logistic is quite expensive and at most times prohibitive, that it would be very difficult to try and market your products overseas when the cost of shipping your product sometimes will be more expensive than the actual cost of your product. So this is, unfortunately, there's not been a solution to bring down these costs, but there are opportunities. For example, as I mentioned, to warehouse in maybe New Zealand or Australia. There are companies that do warehousing, but then it depends on what's the market like overseas for your products, as well as whether you have enough inventory to warehouse. So these are some very difficult or complex decisions to make, and it is very detailed research that you will need to do to be able to make those kinds of decisions if you're looking at exporting. Now, another part that is critical here is your policy or your terms and conditions. And this has to be very clear in your terms and conditions of what are your refund policies. Because if a product needs to be refunded, it has a lot of costs involved. But if your terms and conditions are very clear in terms of when the customer is about to make a payment or agrees to buy from you, there will be terms and conditions that should be provided to them of what constitutes or what qualifies as a refund. So there are reasons why it will be qualified as a refund, whether it hasn't been delivered, your product hasn't been delivered, it's delivered outside of your terms and conditions. Maybe if your terms and conditions says it will be delivered within 2 to 3 weeks, but it gets there a few months, then they will have a legitimate reason to ask for a refund. If the product is received and it's broken or is in a bad state, then they qualify for a refund. Now, the cost of the refund has to be taken into account in your business model of how much it will cost to bring the product back and how much you'll have to refund to the client. So these are all the things that you need to consider in your terms and conditions when you create your process and procedures. And that brings us to the conclusion in terms of logistics for your online business. 5 time.